Attention all freaks. We are now boarding for the flight to Planet E. 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 Planet E.
Mic on. All right, we are live. What's up, everybody? We are back for another episode of the Mixtape podcast. Got special guest, Super DJ Jay Dee, man.
What's up, guys?
Thank you for coming, dude. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me here.
Good to have you back.
Yep.
Right off the bat, I got to tell you something, dude. I'm pretty sure that your set is the reason why my next broadcast got popped.
And why is that?
Last time, dude. Because you went through about 70 tracks, you said?
Yeah, it was a lot of records.
No, not here. Last time you played.
The last time, yeah.
So I don't know if I told you this, but while you were playing, dude, I was getting those copyright warnings, dude, the whole time. Sony, Warner Brothers, bam, 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 bam.
I was trying to keep it old school, so you know, sometimes you slip under the radar with the older stuff.
Did not happen.
Yeah.
But we will talk about that because that's some interesting, the streaming copyright thing. We'll talk about that in a second.
Definitely.
So just so anybody tuning in, anybody who is new, if you guys don't know what we do here, Mix Days, we are live streaming a break space and electro. We also have other people on as well, and then we do a podcast where we are chilling, talking about DJ stuff, and you know, we have all kinds of DJs on here: breaks DJs, hip hop DJs, music enthusiasts, all kinds of people.
I'm excited. I never get to talk. I'm always playing, you know.
And that's what it's about, man. It's about like kind of sharing who we are with like the people, answering questions, things like that. So
feel free to ask whatever.
So anybody who joins us in the chat, if you guys got questions or anything like that, we are more than happy to answer them. So I'm your host, P. Smalls. We are trying to do this pretty much every Wednesday night. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's hard to remember what day it is.
Yeah, it's like every day. We're in Groundhog Day.
Right, it's true.
It's
true. I've definitely messed my days up a few times since March.
So we just got a couple announcements that we do real quick. So we got some stuff upcoming. We got Bahamut on the show on May 20th. He's a big breaks guy from that what we were talking about before during that time. He actually gave us permission to use one of his songs as our official intro song for the podcast.
Nice.
So that's cool.
Good stuff.
So he's our first virtual podcast. He is in Colorado.
Okay.
So that'll be cool. That'll be our first one. And then also we have Merlin, who is a big breaks guy. He's still making music. He's out of Miami. He makes electro, and he's also going to be coming on virtually in June.
Cool.
And then give a shout out to our sponsor, Tonics Lab, up here. You can only see it on the screen, really, though. So he refurbished my turntables. Always give him a big shout out. Actually, Jay.
I'm gonna need to see him soon.
Yeah. He'll hook it up, man. But before we did the podcast, Jay was playing on the tables. And how long? What'd you say it's been?
Oh, it's been at least 10 years since I like really unleashed it.
Felt good, right?
It felt really good.
Yeah, man, it feels good. There's definitely something about vinyl that digital just can't compete with.
Absolutely.
And you said it too. You were like, it slows you down.
And
I see it as a good thing because you have to put more time and thought. And
you don't really know it though until you do a few years of the computer.
Right.
And then when you go back to it and you want to move quicker and you realize you can't move as fast with the vinyl as you do. But, you know, it was fun. Yeah. I love doing the vinyl.
So let's talk about that. We'll go right into the mixing style thing because really, man, that was out of all the topics I wrote down, that was one of the big ones that I wanted to talk to you about. So we'll start right there at that point. So when you were playing the digital set that you played here, I mean, just a guesstimate, you said you went through about 70 tracks, right?
At least 70 tracks in about 40, 50 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so do you have a method for how long you let a track play, or is just kind of an ear thing, or how are you doing?
Well, it's kind of both. It's a method and an ear thing combined because you only want to play, if you're a DJ that mixes the way I do, I like to play only the best parts of every song. So if a song has 3 verses, I'm going to play the best verse and then be out of the song.
Okay.
Especially in today's era where everybody's got, you know, the attention deficit. Nobody wants to hear the full 4 minutes of a song. So I want to be in and out of it as quick as possible. And The ear thing is more like just kind of going as I feel it sounds good.
Right. I call that DJ intuition.
It's intuition.
Yeah,
It comes with a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And
like
repetition.
for me, well, I guess it'd be the same for you. You're looking through your track list and one of them just pops out, right?
Yeah, for
Something
sure,
like
for
that.
sure. I mean, every DJ, including myself, we have songs that we know go with certain songs, and we have our safe routines where
Right.
we know we play this song, we're going to play these 3 next.
Right.
So everybody has that, but for me personally, I've been trying to go out of the box in the last few years, where I'm trying to stay away from my safe sets.
Right.
And
Right.
take some chances, and just basically play off experience.
Right, promote some growth.
Yeah, sure.
Out of your comfort zone. So so you said it right there. So that's one thing that I thought you were going to say about the whole attention deficit thing. You know, people
Yes.
don't have the attention spans that they used to anymore.
No, not
right?
at all. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been 10 years in the making, maybe even further back. Who knows? But it's bad now.
Right.
You know, just like these podcasts, and when DJs go live, I'll do a live set, and I'll have 200-300 people watch me in an hour.
Right.
But I'll never have more than 15 people at once.
Right, yeah.
They're in
Yeah.
and they're out.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they're ready for
yeah.
the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to keep their attention going. Like
They don't want to see what's on TV. They want to see what else is on TV.
Right,
That
right.
kind of thing. So one thing that I did want to ask you about, though, is like when you're mixing like that out in the club.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've seen you mix. I haven't seen you mix recently, though, except for here.
Yeah.
And my thing about that is if you're only playing maybe 16 bars,
Yeah.
32 of the song,
Right.
does it give people a chance to, like, get into a groove? Because it feels to me like you're always,
Well,
like, swaying back and forth.
Well, there's a way to make that work, and a lot of DJs are not experienced in this. And if your set tells a story, then it does work.
Okay.
So if you're in a 16 bar, 32 bar, and then you're out of it, and you're into the next record, if the next record works and fits with the story, like my sets, I like to tell stories with my sets.
Right.
I don't just play a record because it works with the song before it.
Right.
So if it doesn't tell a story and it ain't taking you somewhere that keeps going higher and higher and higher,
Right.
then then what you said originally, they don't work.
Right.
You know, and you won't have the groove of the crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think, like, I've seen a lot of different guys mix like that, and it's like, I feel like I see people starting to get into it, and then
Right.
boom,
That's
throw
another thing.
another-
Like the computer age confuses a lot of DJs too, because they're not keeping their eye on the crowd. Their faces are in the screen.
Right.
So
They got that
with
Serato
me,
stare where
and I
they're
know a
just
lot of
like,
right,
yeah,
exactly. A lot of
stuck on
DJs
it.
and me personally, I don't keep my computer in front of me because I want it off to the side so I can have a full view of the crowd.
Okay.
And when I'm mixing songs, I'm making eye contact with the people on the dance floor.
Right.
I can see their facial expressions. It could be a little twitch or a little this or a jump like that, and I know if they're feeling it or not.
Right.
And if I get that reaction just by watching them, as soon as the song drops, I know I'm in the groove. I'll let
Right.
it rock for a minute,
Okay.
and then go to the
Okay.
next thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, the amount of songs that even when you were just playing here, man, it would take me like a whole hour to go through that many records.
Right. Well, it's different styles too.
Yeah.
I mean, with hip hop music, it's fast.
Yeah.
You're in and out of records. When you're mixing house and breaks
Right.
and stuff like that, you want to let that ride and
Right,
breathe for a
yeah.
little while.
Like I'm mixing the vinyls. Most of them are probably 5-minute tracks.
Sure.
So I'm letting them ride out, but I'm doing probably at least a minute mix.
Right.
You know, blend or
Right,
whatever
the
you wanna
blend
call
lasts
it.
for a
Yeah,
minute
dude,
before you're
yeah.
into the
And
next song,
The
yeah.
cool thing about like that style of mixing is you create this new sound by mixing the two
Sure.
records at the same time.
Absolutely.
And like it's a new song basically, you know, for
Absolutely.
that period of time. Like
That's where the creative part comes into that style is being in the mix for a lengthy part.
And then the other thing I noticed that you were playing the same records at the same time.
Right.
So talk about that.
That's just basically old school hip hop, Grandmaster Flash, the invention of the breaks going back and forth, where you can keep a song playing longer by having one of each on each side.
Oh, okay.
So
all right, okay,
back when I
all right.
started in the '80s, what I got off on with hip hop was I used to watch the radio DJs. I not watch, but I used to listen to the radio DJs on the radio in New York. They would play 10, 20 seconds of the song and then go back to the beginning. And when I was 12 years old, I was like, how do they do that? You know what I'm saying? And that's
okay.
kind of like
All
what
right, I
got me
gotcha.
started
Okay.
into DJing. So when I started putting my crates together, buying, not crates like Serato crates, like real vinyl
Right, yeah,
crates,
yeah.
you would have to buy 2 records.
Okay.
So if a record cost $4.99 in the store, the singles were $4.99, $3.99 back in the '80s. you would have to spend $10 to buy one song.
Okay.
You
Wow.
know?
I never knew that, dude. Never even asked anybody
Yeah.
about that. Okay, that's cool.
And then, of course, also with the 2 records, you got the instrumental version, you got the acapella version,
Right.
so you can kind of mess with it. Like you could start off with the acapella and then flip the record over and play the original version. So yeah, you
gotcha.
can mix and match.
Okay. And then you were doing like a blend too, where you were having the beat from another song,
Yeah, the
right?
instrumental
out with the
from another
vocal.
record.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So when and you also had those white strips on there. I know we kind of talked about them, but just to cover it again. So I've always seen those,
Yeah.
but I never knew what they were.
All right. Well, if you're a Serato DJ, you know what the little pads are. Those are your cue points.
Right.
And basically, we didn't have cue
That's
points.
your analog cue point?
Yeah, before
Okay, all right, that's cool.
computers came out, we didn't have cue points, so we had to draw cue points on the record. So basically, what I used to do, and a lot of DJs do this, is I used to start at 12 o'clock. I would put a little marker at 12 o'clock on the record. I knew that's where my song started.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And did some people do that with colored pencils?
Colored pencils,
Is that what-
crayons,
okay, so
stickers,
yeah,
whatever.
okay.
Dude, I've ran out of labels sometimes, and I've taken little cartoon stickers and put them on the record, and as long as that spot I knew it was at, that's where I knew the song
okay.
started.
That's
yeah.
cool, man. That's
Yeah.
I should do that for some of my shits because like I'm always just waiting for the one, you know.
Even in battling, when we used to battle back in the days, because I did that too, you could take the label and literally put it on the vinyl where the song starts. And
Okay.
like you could like put the needle on the part in the middle of the song where you wanted, and stick the label right in the groove, and literally drop the needle on the label, and you're right at that spot
Okay.
without even listening.
Okay.
So that's how battle DJs used
Yeah,
to do
so
it.
that's just to make everything faster.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you don't even need
gotta
the
be
headphones.
quick.
Just drop it on
Okay.
the label and go.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So, well, dude, let's talk about how you started DJing then, since we're talking about the '80s,
Cool.
man. So,
yeah,
how
I
did
love
you get
talking
into
about
DJing?
the old. Yeah, how I started. I don't really believe I started DJing. It kind of just came to me when I was about 10 or 11. I mean, to be honest with you, this sounds crazy, but I was playing vinyl on record players when I was 5. I remember when I was 6 years old, my mom bought me a little portable turntable. It had like little disco lights on it, you know, the Saturday Night Fever,
Right.
that thing. And I used to steal all my relatives' records and just play records.
Okay.
So records always intrigued me. And then, like I said, when I started listening to radio DJs in the early 80s, because I'm from Queens, New York, there was a lot of rap shows on the radio in the 80s. And I would record them all on my cassette, my boombox, and it always like made me wonder, like I said, with the 2 records, how did they play the song and then go back to the beginning? And I realized they needed the vinyl for that.
Right.
So, and I was already playing vinyl, so this is what really happened. I had a stereo system in my room, and my sister had a stereo system in her room. And back then, I didn't have a mixer.
Okay.
So I couldn't figure out how to go from one record to the other because I didn't have a mixer.
Right,
So
right.
I literally stole my sister's sound system, put it
Okay.
in my room. So I had 2 sound systems. One was a record player with 2 speakers, and the other one was a record player with 2 speakers.
Okay.
And I would literally, with 2 volume buttons,
Oh,
go
shit.
back and forth with the 2 records so I can blend them.
Yeah.
Like that.
Make it work, dude.
So that's
cool.
where it started. I was very young when I started.
And then, so when did you get your first like real turntables?
It was 1986.
Okay.
So I was messing with all those things back in the day, like I said, with the stealing the records and the systems. And then in 1986, I was 14 years old. I bought a pair of Technique turntables off a kid in the neighborhood and a realistic mixer that were used that he got from Radio Shack.
Oh shit.
And
true.
yeah, so I had
Shout out to Radio Shack.
Radio Shack,
Damn,
yeah.
rest in
And I
peace.
remember I paid $60 for the whole set.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were they 1200s?
No, they weren't
Okay.
1200s. I didn't get my first 1200s until 88. So I was basically on the direct drive turntable, not the direct drive, the belt drive
yeah.
turntables,
Yep.
where I didn't even have pitch control.
Oh shit.
So in order for me to blend records, I would have to be, squeeze in the middle as they spin
Yeah.
and put my hand on it to slow it down. And I learned how to blend records without pitch control.
Wow.
So when I first got
Yeah.
the pitch control,
You're like, holy
it was like,
shit.
this is easy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So,
and those
yeah.
belt drives, dude, if you push down too hard on that record, dude, it just
It'll
stops.
stop.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
just
it'll
stops the whole
stop.
thing. That's I learned on some Geminis, and they were belt driven, dude, and it's like, dude, you just barely touched that thing.
Yeah,
and it's
you
like
gotta
done.
have very, very slippery fingers.
Yeah.
If your fingers were too sticky and you pressed down too hard, the record would just stop.
Yeah, and it's good. That's good way to start though, because once you get on these,
Hey, Joe
you're
Papa,
like-
what's up?
dude? We gotta talk about him for a second.
I got a
Yeah.
story with Joe
Okay.
Papa if he's still watching
All
this.
right, I gotta do it. So I gotta tell you something about Joe Papa. So when he was, do you remember when he was doing all that promoting?
Yeah.
So one time he booked me at it was late night,
Okay.
on the back patio, and Booza was there and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I came and I played, and I probably played about 5 songs, and he pulled me off, and he's like, dude, they're not ready for this.
Yeah.
And I was playing the shit that I play,
Breaks.
breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, that's not going to work here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit. all
Breaks
right.
has its own audience.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very cult following. So
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, it's definitely community.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, tell them about your story.
The Joe Papa
Yeah,
story.
Joe Papa.
Oh,
Since
man.
he's in here.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the New York club scene from the early '90s, basically, and I used to DJ a club on Saturday nights called Exit, which was in Manhattan in New York City. I was the Saturday night hip hop guy, and I met Joe Papa there. He was one of the doormen and personal assistant to the owner and stuff like that. And he knew of me way back in the day, and it was weird because when I moved to Florida in 2003, I came to this area in '04. And I bumped into Joe Papa
That's an
years
interesting
later.
coincidence.
Yeah, and I remember
That's
him back.
funny.
He remembers me, and I remember him from back in the old the New York City club days.
Yeah.
And he was a big wig back then.
That's
man.
what he used to say. I remember him
Yeah.
saying, I'm from New York. I used
Yeah.
to do this in New York. And he definitely has that New
Yeah,
York
here's a
attitude
story
style.
for you. I don't know if this is saying too much, but I remember, because these clubs back in the days, they used to be $40, $50 to get in.
Yeah.
Lines would be around the block. We'd be open till 6 in the morning, that type of deal. And at Club Exit used to do 7,000, 8,000 people a night from when it opened
Wow.
till closing
Right, yeah.
in the morning.
Turning people out.
Because you had main stage, upstairs stage, white room, a hidden room. It was like a million places to play. I remember Joe Papa used to collect the money for the club owner at the end of the night, and he used to walk out that club with garbage bags full of money.
Oh, shit.
Garbage
Nice,
bags full
dude.
of money,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, and he was in charge of all that. So that's how I remember Joe Papa.
So back then, that's when you were playing records?
Oh, yeah, vinyl.
So when did you stop playing vinyl?
I was one of those guys that were real hesitant to switch to the laptop.
Yeah.
I held on to vinyl as long as I could. And the actual year I switched over was probably 2008 or 9.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 2010. I don't remember exactly. But I was holding on to it as long as I could, playing without the computer because I didn't trust it.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't trust the computer. I was afraid it would die or bail out on me in the middle of a set. And it used to make me very nervous. But then some of my favorite DJs, guys I look up to, guys I used to play with, Kid Capri, Jazzy Jeff, I'm seeing them using the computer. And I'm thinking to myself, well, look, if these guys are doing it, I'm going to have to do it. So I think that's when I made the transition and finally jumped in the water.
Yeah. It does give you a lot more power. That's one thing that's nice about it. It does give you a lot more power.
It does.
But it takes away some of the art.
All the stuff I wanted to do with vinyl, I couldn't do.
Yeah.
Because you're limited with just 2 records and a crossfader. But now I have, echoes and cue points and instant doubles and all that stuff. So you throw all that into the mix, and now, where I might have been, 6 or a 7 as a DJ, now I'm a 9.
Right.
Because of the computer,
So when you were playing, in New York, so you're bringing crates of records.
Crates of records,
so when you were playing at these clubs, how long were your sets? Were you all night, open to close, or what were you doing?
It was different. It all depended. I mean, in my early years, I would have to do long sets, 4 hours. I was a resident.
Right.
And then once I got my residencies were popular, I started doing, 2-hour sets. They were shorter for more money because I became pretty popular in the New York scene.
Right.
I was doing all the Manhattan nightclubs. There was one point in late 99, early 2000 where I had 5 residencies going in a row where I was doing the hottest clubs in New York. Tuesday I did Spa. On Wednesday I did a different spot. On Thursday night I did Cheetah. Friday was Limelight and Saturday was Exit. And those were the nights.
Wow.
So I had that going for a solid
Working
year.
your ass off.
Yeah, and what was your original question about how long the sets were?
How long were your sets, and then how many records were you bringing? Because that's what I'm curious. Because for a breaks DJ or something like that, our sets are traditionally an hour.
Okay.
And then they rotate out different DJs throughout the night. If you're good, sometimes maybe you get a 2-hour set.
Right.
But you would maybe play at the most 20 records in 2 hours, maybe. But you're playing how many records are you playing?
Oh God, this could be a long conversation because
We got the time.
when I was playing originally doing residencies and getting my name out, my sets had to be long. So
Right.
I was doing 4-hour, 5-hour sets and banging them out for $200. Those were the paying dues days.
Right, that's the grind.
That was the grind.
Yeah.
And I used to have to come to the club with 6 dudes to carry my records.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And back in the New York days in the 90s, these clubs were packed.
Yeah.
So when they opened at 9, 10 o'clock, and I show up at midnight to do my sets, the floors it's packed already.
Right.
So
they're ready to go.
How do you get 6 dudes carrying crates of records through the crowd? We used to have to call the security guys or two-way page them back in the day. It was pagers, and we have to say we're outside, and they have to clear a path.
Oh yeah.
They have to clear a path from the door to the DJ booth. And you would see a line of guys, and that's how the crowd knew the DJ was here. You would see that line of people.
It's like when you're a wrestler and you're fucking entrance.
You would see that line from that. They would clear the path, and the DJ would come with his 6 dudes carrying records.
Yeah.
And everybody would know, the main DJ's he's
That's
here.
Awesome,
he's here,
dude. That's awesome.
So that was fun. Those days were fun.
No, that's cool, man. Like that's the kind of stuff I like to hear because I never got to see any of that. I never got to see any hip hop DJs or anything play like that. So. I mean, damn. So that's a lot of records, dude. So
and it's really, if you think about it, you compare it from someone who brings a laptop. They have 300,000 songs.
Oh yeah.
And then when you come with 6 cases of records, you're getting about 60, 70 songs in each case. So do the math. You might come with 300-400 songs.
Right.
And that's it. That's all you got to go by.
Yeah.
You have 400 songs. If you have to go in a different direction, there was so many times, and I'm sure thousands of DJs could tell you this story, where they can be like in the middle of a set, and then it goes a different place, and they're like, "Oh my god, I wish I brought that crate with me."
Yep. That's happened to me, man. Like I have, I have tried to plan sets, right?
Yeah.
Dude, every time I've done it, it hasn't worked out.
Right.
Never do, because you're like, all right, you might start off good with the first couple of songs, but then, dude, the crowd just isn't buying what you're putting out, so you have to divert into something else.
And then sometimes you go in and your opening DJ's playing the songs that you're playing.
Yeah.
And you can't really switch because you all brought the same crate of records. There's no computer.
Yeah. Dang, that's a good point. Yeah, the opener, dude. That's a skill.
It used to happen all the time, and opener and closer. Like I remember coming to clubs where, like I said, I was the main guy. I would start at midnight, and my DJ is already in from 11 to 12. He's killing it already.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not mad at that because I know I can always do my thing, but. Even the closing DJ would come on after me and play the same records I played, and I'm like, dude, were you paying attention?
Right.
Like play something different.
We have that conversation on here a lot about opening DJs and how like that's a skill in itself, and like your job and like one of my skills, dude, is opening. When I was DJing open format, dude, I love it too, dude. I feel like it takes a good DJ. I call it warming up the air,
setting
dude.
the vibe.
Yeah, man. And
You're
it's like, so
vibe.
your job is to prime the crowd for the headliner.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, like, you're not there to steal the spotlight.
No, not at
all. So if you know your role, dude.
But here's the thing, though. You could not steal the spotlight, but you could still put a spotlight on you.
Oh, yeah, right.
And still not steal it from the guy that's coming after you.
Right, true that.
And there's a lot of opening DJs think they got the opening thing down, and just because you're playing different than the guy, you could still... I don't want to say steal the spotlight. You could still put the spotlight on you.
Right.
I know a lot of good opening DJs.
Yeah.
Where I'll look at him and be like, yo, his set was better than the main guy's, and they didn't. The main guy played the hits, and this guy didn't.
Right.
You know.
When I open, like what I'm doing is I'm watching people and like I'm trying to target them and pull them out.
Sure.
And get them on the dance floor. Like that's what my mission is. And then by time it's headliner time, dude, everybody is ready to go, and then they just come up and kill it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Definitely.
So when you're carrying all these records, man, like how are you organizing them?
You practice your sets at home, and it's hard though because back in the day, like I said, you would get complacent with playing the same sets, your safe sets.
Right.
And with Serato and the laptops, you can just go and click buttons and make new crates, and it takes a few minutes and you make new crates. But with me, I used to have to dump all my records out of a crate and like scatter them on the floor like a deck of cards.
Yeah. And
just rearrange them, and however they came up, I would throw them back in there. So I wouldn't play the same stuff over and over again in that same
Dude,
style.
So I just started playing vinyl again like this year, right? And it's funny that you say that. I'm not doing it that way, but I do have a method for that. So what I'm doing is what I play, I throw it to the back. And then when I do my next set, I'm not pulling from the back.
Right.
I'm pulling from the front. So I'm rotating out the records. Yeah, because it's easy. You know, you like all these songs, and then you're just like, bam, bam, bam. I'm just gonna pull these in, and basically your set might be arranged differently, but it's the same songs.
Right.
So you just scattered them, random, and then you're just going one after the other, flipping through, and whatever one hits you. That's
whatever one hits me. Of course, without the computer, you're looking at the crowd.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the crowd, you're playing off the crowd, and then we have to turn our backs to the crowd to get our records because the records are usually behind us or on the floor.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're watching from the dance floor, you don't see the DJ up there because he's below looking through his records.
Bending down, looking through the records.
Yeah.
I started doing that. I take this table and I was setting it like we were right here, but I'm putting it sideways right there, so that you're not the camera. My back isn't to the camera, so it's like a side.
It was very rare that you had a DJ booth big enough to put your records right on the side.
Yeah,
and that would make it ideal.
Yeah.
To do that, but not the DJ booths weren't that big back then.
So, did you warm up before you played vinyl?
No, there was never really any warm up. I mean, if I did a club that was, if I was opening and there was just a few people in there, that's just the warm up. There's no no physical warm up like I got to get my hands loose and this and stuff like that. But it's just I go by the crowd and see what's coming in. That's the warm up.
I feel like before I go live on vinyl, dude, I probably got to play for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
I never really had that problem.
Yeah.
I would always just kind of jump right in, dive in, and we go from the first record.
Yeah, my thing is my mixes, they won't be tight.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So I gotta because I played sax for 14 years.
Oh, that's nice.
And in band, dude, you warm up.
That's
your thing.
Yeah, you gotta play that warm up song.
You gotta get everything warm. You gotta get the instrument warm. You gotta
get the sound coming out right. Yeah, stuff like that.
So if I just go cold on here, dude, my mixes are they're off.
See, that's why that's what the opening DJ's for. People think you're just an opening DJ because you're playing while people are coming in, but really the opening DJ is there to make sure the sound is right, the volume, all that stuff. It's the same thing like opening bands. Like when you go see Billy Joel in concert, he has an opening act. That opening act is to make sure the sound is right.
True that.
So Billy can just come in and do his first song and be tight.
Good point. That's a very good point. I don't really touch on that too much, but you're right, because when you're running sound, dude, you're making adjustments. You're getting the best that you can, and then as things are playing, you're adjusting things.
Yeah, if you're the main DJ, you're in the crowd listening to the opening guy, and you're going to the sound engineer, and you're saying, when I get up there, I need more bass, or I need more treble, or this and that, and stuff like that. Well, that speaker's popping, so when I get up there, you got to fix that. So they know before time. That's what the opening DJ's for.
When you were in New York, how long did you play there, and then when did you come to Florida?
I started doing nightclubs officially in 1988.
Okay.
And I played until I moved here in 2003.
Okay.
So from 88 to 2003, I was on the New York scene.
Okay.
I was paying dues mostly for the early 90s.
Right.
And then the mid to late 90s, I was doing a lot of radio, college radio, underground spots. I started to get pretty popular out there. And then by the late 90s, I was one of the guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you ever into the breakdance era?
Yeah. I came a little after the breakdance era. I knew of it, but I was too young to be part of it.
Okay.
So when I was 10 years old, I was breakdancing myself.
Right.
But I wasn't playing records yet.
Okay.
So when I started playing records, like you said, you asked me before when I first got my first set of turntables, I was 14 years old, and the breakdancing thing started to phase out just a little bit around that time.
Okay.
So I wasn't in the parks doing that with the breakdancers, but I was a little kid breaking in the park.
Because that's that was a huge spot for that, New York, right? So
well,
do you know who
Queens.
Cybertron is?
No.
Okay, so there's a whole I guess you call it a segment of electro breaks that was based off of that whole breakdance scene. That their influence is still heard in the new music that's produced today, like breaks music.
I hear a lot. I mean, once in a while I hear some break stuff, and I notice the Run DMC samples and the breaks and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm I hear what you're doing there.
The Missy Elliott "Music Makes You Lose Control." Little melody part in there is actually from an '80s.
Sure,
sample.
I have that original song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's cool, man. So you saw in Central Park Well,
not Central Park.
Okay.
Central Park is the bougie side of New York, but in Queens, where I'm from. I saw stuff in the park, but I was very young. I was 9, 10 years old.
Like the cardboard box.
Yeah. I had the cardboard box in front of my house with the radio.
Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was back when I was 100 pounds.
Okay. That's cool though, man. I don't know anybody who was in that era. I haven't had anybody on here who I've been able to talk about.
There's different cultures involved in hip hop. There's the MC, there's the graffiti artist, there's the DJ, there's the break dancer, and I've dove into all of those at least one point in my life. I was the break dancer first, and then I was a graffiti artist when I was younger, And then I stopped doing graffiti when I was about 15, though. But after that, I was DJing from 12 and on, and that always stayed with me. I was always a DJ. I don't ever consider me having a starting point. As far back as I can remember, I was always playing records. So.
But you were in New York when it was real shitty.
Oh yeah. It was horrible. It's like Disneyland now.
Yeah, I worked with somebody who lived up there, and he was telling me that it was just fucking like it was not safe. There's
no, not at all. I used to cut class when I was in 8th grade in Queens, but if you could believe this, okay, it's a true story. In 8th grade, me and one of my friends, we used to cut class and take the A train into Manhattan. We would go to this place near the World Trade Center. It was on Chambers Street. It was a little art store. We'd buy our graffiti markers there, okay? And then we go uptown to 42nd Street. And remember, we're only 11, 12 years old doing this, okay? Nowadays, you're 11, 12 years old. You can't even go around the block without your parents going crazy. I was taking the train to the city, okay? And we go to the city in 42nd Street. It was the dirtiest, nastiest, ratchetest place you could ever be on the face of the earth. You had bums, homeless people, crackheads, hookers, and the whole strip was nothing but rated X, peep shows and video shows.
Okay.
You could buy a fake ID at 11 years old and stuff like that for $15, $10. Like, that was the New York days.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I remember.
Yeah.
That's where I came from.
I've seen, like, some video footage of stuff like that. And, like, the subway, dude, like, I would not get on it.
It was real.
Like, yeah, it was completely covered in graffiti, dude. It was, like, bums all in it, dude. That's where,
when I came to Florida, and I'm not knocking Florida because I live here, I love it here. It's a great state. But when I came here first, I used to see all these kids acting so hard, and I used to say to myself, you guys don't even know what hard is. You don't even know. It's a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
You weren't 11 years old, engaging with hookers and crack addicts.
Yeah.
We were doing that stuff,
I've been to New York City twice, and it was fucking awesome. It's like, besides Vegas, it's the only place I've been to where, like, it meets every expectation that you had for it before you went.
One thing I want to say, though, what made it better, because it started there, like in the 80s, it was like that. And so what it is now in 2020, it's like Disneyland. You got Disney like owns the whole block now.
Right.
You go to 42nd Street, you could bring your kids there now.
Yeah.
Families go there. But what made it better was hip hop, because hip hop in the late 80s and early 90s, a consciousness came out, and things gradually started to change for the better, because MCs were talking about their struggles and how we can make it better.
It was like a positive message and stuff like that.
You had the braggadocious MCs who would talk about their chains and their money and their cars, but at the same time, they were telling you, don't do this. This is bad.
Right.
And
now you have to, like, uplift the culture and, like,
and
make
it worked.
Better.
It worked until a certain point where radio took it over and just started playing whatever they want.
Yeah, it became money rap.
It was all about money.
Yeah, about money and bitches and all that stuff.
That's right.
So how did you get your DJ name?
Okay, so my DJ name, originally I was Jay Dee, just the Jay Dee, okay? And those are my initials spelled out. My first name is Joe. So that's how I went in the late 80s, early 90s, I was just Jay Dee. So if you're a hip-hop fan, there's another Jay Dee.
Spelled the same way?
Spelled the same way, yeah. Right. He's known as Jay Dilla. Okay, he's one of the most famous producers in hip-hop ever. One of the greatest as well. And Jay Dilla, before he switched his name to Dilla, he was Jay Dee. So going back to what we talked about before, where I was paying my dues and I was working my way up the New York scene, I was starting to get pretty popular, as he was as well. So we were both here in the mid '90s, and I got a cease and desist letter from his management.
Oh shit!
Saying I couldn't use the name anymore.
Damn.
So I wasn't able to use the name Jay Dee anymore, but I wanted to keep my name because it's really my initials. It's my real name. Probably with him as well. But he was way more popular at the time.
Right.
So instead of me getting rid of the Jay Dee, I added Super DJ to it.
Okay.
And I've gotten a lot of flack from that because people think it's the corniest shit ever. That my name
Not
is
gonna
Super
lie, dude,
DJ
when
Jay Dee.
before I met you, I was like, what kind of name is this?
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the first reaction everyone gives me. That's corny. Why does he call himself Super DJ?
Yeah.
Well, there's two reasons. The first reason was there was a DJ in the radio days in New York City called Mr. Magic. Mr. Magic had a radio show in the 80s, and his moniker was Super Rockin' Mr. Magic.
Okay.
If you remember on the Biggie record, he says, peace to Mr. Magic, Marley Marl. He's talking about that guy.
Oh, I know that line.
So Mr. Magic was one of the first popular radio DJs, hip hop DJs in New York.
Okay.
And I loved his radio show. And when he played his records, he had this cool moniker that was like, "You're listening to Super Rockin' Mr. Magic." And I thought when I was 11 years old, that was the greatest thing ever.
Gotcha.
So the Super came from Super Rockin' Mr.
Okay.
Magic. I always
That's
liked
cool.
it, but there was a DJ in New York. His name is Smooth Denali. And we both used to do the Long Island scene together. I used to DJ this party in Long Island on Friday nights. It was the 56 Fighter Group in Long Island, and it was the happy hour party. It started at 5 o'clock and ended at 3 in the morning.
Damn,
And,
that's what I'm talking about.
Well, the damn part of it was when you showed up there at 5 o'clock, the place was slammed with 1,000 people.
Right.
Okay? And it went on all the way till 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, that used to be my residency. So I started at 5, and I used to play till midnight, and then a DJ would play the last
shit.
3 hours.
Oh, my God.
So when I got off my set, and this is back in like 2000 where I first was thinking about changing the name. It was late 90s, early 2000s. Smooth Denali was at the club when I was playing, and I was downstairs talking to him, and he was introducing me to a bunch of girls. He said, "I want you to meet my friend Jay Dee. He's a super DJ." It's the first time I heard that.
Okay.
And when I heard him say that, and being that I like the Super Rockin' Mr. Magic thing,
Gotcha.
I said to myself, "Yo, I'm gonna run with that. I like that. It sounds cool." So that was when Super DJ came.
All right,
Came
makes sense,
up,
dude.
yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself like a turntablist? Is that like appropriate for your style?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, I'm not like a Qbert. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on that level of a Qbert, but I have battled before, and I do consider myself a turntablist. Like,
Right.
if you told me, JD, I need you to do a 3-minute set of battle routines, and you give me a week to put something together, I could.
Right.
I used to do the tricks, again, back when I didn't have this big belly in front of
Right.
me. The behind the back and over the shoulder. I did all that stuff
you
in the
compete?
90s. Yeah, I competed.
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
I actually placed pretty well in some battles in New York back in the mid 90s.
Okay.
Where, I came in second place or third place. I never won anything big.
Right.
But I was acknowleded as a pretty good
Dude,
battle
that's
DJ.
still, yeah, second or third.
Yeah.
So is DJing, has that been like your job since forever?
Yeah, I haven't worked I guess if you want to call it a job, quote unquote
Right.
job. I haven't worked a job since the mid 90s.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, dude, what do you think about the lifestyle, though, man?
What do you mean? Like, what part of the lifestyle?
Dude, just like, okay, you don't go to work until like fucking 10 o'clock at night, and you get
Right.
home at 4 in the morning.
Well, I'm gonna give away my age. I turned 48 over the summer.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's even more so, dude.
Yeah.
I'm 36, dude, and I've been DJing for like 15 years. Mm-hmm. I can't do it anymore, dude.
This will be. I'm close to my 35th, 36th year of doing this. I mean, I
Damn,
started when
son.
I was 12. So
True that.
Do the
Fuck
math.
yeah,
on that,
dude.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
36. When I get to my 40th year of DJing, I'm gonna do a big party.
Wow. Well, dude, but tell me, man, so this is my dilemma. This is one reason why I'm doing the stream.
Yeah.
Like, one, dude, I am tired. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Just from, I guess you DJ, that was your job.
Yeah.
I worked 40 hours and I would DJ on the weekends, right?
Right.
All through my 20s, I was fine. Mm-hmm. Got to like my, 33, 34, dude,
Yeah.
like, started to get tired and like, I just can't recover
Well,
like that.
There are secrets and tips to staying in the game longer and staying younger and relevant. For me personally, I never had kids until I was 43 years old.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. I mean, now that I'm a father and, for the last 5 years I've been a dad, that took a lot out of me.
Right.
If you look at me, if you go back and see videos and pictures of me 6 years ago, I don't look the same anymore.
Right.
That takes a lot out of you. And I was a single guy for mostly all my whole DJing career.
That is the other thing.
Yeah.
We'll
So-
get into that after you're done with this, but yeah. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I don't know, what question was it again? I forgot. I started thinking of
Like,
things in the back of my
how
head.
are you still managing the lifestyle and then having a life outside of that
Okay.
are working together?
Well, one thing I can tell you now, I'm not managing it right now because I'm not doing the club.
Oh,
scene.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
I've been
okay.
I've been kind of I don't want to say I'm out of the club scene because I don't ever want to be out of the club scene.
Right.
But I kind of, when my kids were born 4.5 years ago, I kind of backed away.
Okay.
And I don't say I let other guys, but I kind of backed away and let other guys come in and do their thing. I wasn't pushing myself as much, where I was, before that, I was trying to take everything. I wanted that night, this night, that night. I was trying to do that. But I backed away from it. And there was that first year when I first had kids, I was still getting a lot of phone calls like, come on, you want a residency here? And I was like, I don't want to do it right now.
Okay.
So I did turn down a lot of work in that first year. And then once I was out of the loop after that first year, it kind of all just diminished a little bit. So I do my spots. Now I pick and choose my spots.
So you're more of a private gig DJ now.
I'm more of a private gig now,
Okay.
but I like to say it more like I pick and choose.
Yeah.
Because back then I took whatever I could.
Right.
If a guy said, look, $150 Thursday night, it's yours. Do you want it? Yup.
Right.
Because I just wanted a DJ.
Yeah,
It wasn't about the money.
right.
I wanted a DJ.
Exactly. Yes.
Where now, if someone comes to me and says, hey, you want to do a Friday night for $300? If I don't like the spot, I say no.
Right.
If I don't think I'm gonna like the crowd, I'll just say no.
So when did you transition out of the whole club scene? I guess
It was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Because I was still doing residencies 3 or 4 nights a week up
And
until
see,
then.
still even 4 or 5. So, dude, that's not that long ago, man. Like that lifestyle, dude. Like, okay.
I never not had a residency.
It didn't make you just
until 4
fucking
years ago.
tired of just doing that shit. And
Yeah, but you know what though? I can tell you like this. It was the females kept me young, because you laugh, but this is what it is.
Dude,
it's real.
I'm laughing because it's real.
It's real,
dude,
and
yeah.
and my wifey, she sees this, she knows it. It's like, it was the females that kept me young. I mean, I was 40 years old. I was dating 19-year-old girls, and
Right.
those girls force you to stay young and relevant.
Yes.
And when I'm in my 20s, of course, I'm dating girls that are in my 20s. But then as I got older, into my 30s, I was still dating girls that were in their 20s.
Okay.
And then when I was 40, I was still
Right.
dating girls that were in their 20s.
And they're still doing stuff that you were doing when you were in your 20s
so
and
it
stuff,
kept me.
yeah.
It kept me in that mentality
Right.
of staying young and not tired. Come on, let's go out and get a drink. Come on, let's go here, let's go here. I couldn't say no because then I sound like the old guy.
Right, gotcha.
So I would always have to,
Yeah.
do it all.
So the whole girl thing, man. Like, I've never had a girl who's been cool with me DJing. Like
I've had a few that were.
I've had a few that
Yeah.
tricked me into saying that they were cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when it came down to, this guy's not coming home until 4 in the morning,
Right.
like every weekend.
Right.
And then you're like, she's like, this isn't what I thought it was.
You got to
kind of
live with
shit.
them at that point.
Yeah. It's like.
Or they got to come out with you.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing. They come out with you, dude. Like, that could be a good thing or a
Yeah,
bad thing.
it could be a good thing or a
Yeah.
bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got the right girl who understands your game, like my wifey now, she understands the game.
Yeah.
She knows if I go and buy a girl a drink and kick it with her for a few minutes, she knows what that means.
Right.
She knows I'm trying to get a fan.
Right.
But there are a lot of DJs who can't decide for the difference between the two.
Yes.
Because they're so thinking with the head downstairs
Yeah.
and not the head up
They
here.
got one leg on this side of the
Yeah.
fence and one leg on that.
And those are the guys that
Yeah.
can't have a girl like that because
Yeah.
they don't know the game.
Yeah.
They don't know the game. So
Yeah. Well, dude, cheers to you, man, because
Yeah.
that's some fucking real shit
Thank
that you
you.
can
Yeah.
even have that, dude, because
Thank
I
you.
haven't been able to find that. But the other thing is, man, like, just the staying up all night kind of shit. Like, so I'm doing the streaming so that I can still DJ for an audience.
Right,
But
right.
not
I love
at
the
fucking
streaming,
12
yeah.
o'clock in the morning. So.
Right.
So, yeah, let's talk about the streaming, dude.
Sure, streaming.
So we'll start with Facebook. So I see you recently got into the streaming game like a couple months ago.
No, not at all. I was actually streaming probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Before Facebook was doing streaming and live video, there was a website called Ustream.
Oh yeah,
And that was in the late 2000 and right before 2010, around that era.
Yeah.
And I used to do live streams from Ustream, and they were pretty good. So I dipped into the waters of streaming back then, but Facebook obviously took it to a whole nother level because you didn't have to be too techie to do the Facebook thing.
Right.
You just hit go live and you're live.
Right, you can use your phone and shit.
So yeah, I mean, but as far as doing the Facebook stuff, I was doing some live streams, more like doing videos, recording them and posting them.
Right.
I like people to see what kind of DJ I am, not at the club.
Right.
Because sometimes what I'm doing at the club is not really what I like to do.
Right.
Yes. So I like to bring people into the home and say, oh, by the way, this is what I like.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, 2 weeks ago, I did a live stream where I just played slow jams.
Right, I saw it.
Now, if you're a DJ watching that, that's the most boring ass shit you could possibly watch.
Yeah.
Because DJs are looking at me like I want to see him do something, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just playing the shit I like.
Right.
So, and it was very successful. I had 70, 80 people watching me just play slow jams.
Right.
I wasn't DJing at all. So that's the one stuff. That's the one part I like about the streaming is where I could be JD and not have to be like I gotta impress this DJ that's watching.
Right.
You know. So I like that.
What, dude? We're gonna have to cut real quick. I gotta go let your girl in.
Sure.
We'll be back in 1 second.
1 second. We still on the screen?
Yeah, we're on the mic.
Oh, we're on the mic. Hey, you guys, got any questions for me? Feel free. I'm gonna start looking through the.
Somebody else.
I'm gonna start looking for the chat, see what everyone's saying in there.
All right, we are back. I guess that was actually
Are
somebody
we back?
else. Yeah.
Jose, you still watching?
All right,
What's up, man?
So, all right, I forgot what the fuck we were. Oh, we were talking about Facebook.
We were talking about streaming.
So
and stuff,
yeah, so the Facebook thing, man. So have you got the copyright notice that blocks you from live streaming at all?
Yeah. At first, when this pandemic started, if you want to call it that, that's a whole nother conversation. When it first started, I started jumping. My first reaction was, well, if it can't be in the club, let's start playing on Facebook. And in the beginning, I wasn't getting shut down because I don't know if it's because a million DJs started doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe they were more lenient in the beginning. I'm not sure, but the copyright thing wasn't happening to me. I was doing 3-hour sets and people I was going through the whole thing. But lately, in the last couple of weeks, it's like I play for 10 minutes and it's bye-bye.
Yep, that's what happened to me. So like I was saying in the beginning of the stream, so I was good until you played that set with 70 like mainstream songs, dude.
Right,
And
I broke your set up.
I
broke it.
had somebody on the next week who was playing.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's all good. It's good because some things came from that. So
okay.
I had this guy playing electro breaks, which is super underground shit. Like you don't hear that stuff anywhere.
Well, let me ask you a question. With the break stuff, are they the main record labels like Warner Brothers and Sony and stuff like that?
So there's a couple different things that happen with the breaks. So,
I would say they're mostly indies, right?
Yeah. So what I started doing was because of your set and because of what happened afterwards, I got blocked for 30 minutes from even accessing Facebook Live when somebody was on the next week, right?
Okay.
But they were playing digital, right?
Okay.
Which they were playing newer stuff.
Okay.
All those records are late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
I can play those as long as I want, don't get popped at all.
Okay, but the newer stuff.
The newer stuff, anything digital, you still get popped for it. It's not as frequent.
The business is different nowadays too, because these cats that have been making records for the last 10, 15 years, they want their royalties.
Yeah.
These labels are all about their royalties, and they should be. That I'm not saying they shouldn't be.
Right.
But it was made way more lenient back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because everybody was sampling everything. Like that's just how it was, and even. The breaks thing was, dude, you have a DJ play your tracks so that other people hear it and go buy it.
Right.
Like, I don't know if people forgot that that's how it worked or what, but like even back, in the hip hop days, they would give a press to one DJ to play it in the club. So everybody's like, oh shit, what's that song? Yeah.
Yeah. That was called the dub plate.
Right, yeah, exactly.
The
Dub plates. They do the same thing with breaks, but now it's like anything that's digital.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the vinyl. I guess it can't be the vinyl because your video earlier got popped.
Yeah.
So
I got a notification just a couple hours ago.
I was wondering if it was because it was an analog signal.
And that's why I was showing the records. I'm like, look, I'm playing records. I own these records.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. So So if you do come back and play some vinyl stuff, we'll have to go on Mixcloud.
What's crazy too is like if you go through the records I was just playing before we went live. I didn't have to buy those records. They were promotional records given to me from the actual record label.
Yep.
So I used to have to go to the Sony building and the Warner Brothers building and the Def Jam building, and I would get these records from them personally to play for promo use.
Yes, right.
So if I come here with vinyl, even on the vinyl it says this is promotional vinyl. It says it on the vinyl. So I should be allowed to play it.
Right. It's on the breaks records too.
Right.
It says DJ use only promo or something like that.
You know what? But the thing is with the algorithms, they're not watching the video, they're listening to the audio.
Oh yeah, that's all it is.
So it's the audio.
I've watched a couple things about how it's being tagged, and what happens is so Facebook doesn't have a copyright royalty system in place.
Okay.
Nothing. But they have a music library.
Yeah.
and the algorithm's listening,
Yeah.
right, and it's trying to match what you're playing with
It
what
does.
they have in the library.
It's
If
just
they
like Shazam. You know, when you hit the
Exactly, that's it,
Shazam,
dude. So
it
if they
recognizes the song in less than a
Yeah.
second. It's
so
unbelievable.
if they match, it's a copyright because all the
Right.
songs in the library are copyright.
Right.
So what's
Right.
cool about the Florida Breaks records that I play?
Yeah.
Dude, they're so underground.
Yeah.
They're not in the library.
Right.
So I can just go kind of, as long as I
Also, with a
want.
lot of the old school stuff I play, it's, they don't even know what labels they're from anymore. A lot of indies from the early '80s, the old school hip hop stuff were all indies.
Right. So if you have that stuff, we could do that on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I'm all about that because I don't want to get my page shut down.
Right, of course,
Yeah,
of
because
course.
I've worked hard to get it to where it is, and I don't want to get it shut
Yeah,
down.
there's gonna be different outlets soon. that are
Yeah, no,
coming
we'll
out.
talk about
Yeah.
Mixcloud, dude. So I saw you were looking at Mixcloud.
I was looking at
last
Mixcloud.
night. We did our first Mixcloud set.
Okay.
So have you done one yet?
Yeah, I did one.
What'd you think about it?
It worked clean, and of course, I didn't get shut down because
Right.
it's made for DJs. But I think what the problem is going to be with the newer what do you want to call them? The outlets of like Mixcloud and Play DJ TV is another one.
Right.
What the problem is going to be is getting your crowd from Instagram and
That's it, dude,
Facebook
yeah.
to those networks. So once they figure out a way to do that, that's when it's going to work for
Yeah.
DJs. I went on Mixcloud, and I even went on Play DJ TV, and I had 40 people watching me in 10 minutes, but I had no clue who they were.
Yeah.
They were none of my fans. I'm glad people are watching me,
Right.
but I couldn't converse with them. I didn't know who they were.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
On Mixcloud, so Mixcloud does not tell you how many people are watching at one time. It tells you how many total views.
Right,
you've
total
had.
views. But they actually switched that, I think, in the last few days.
Did they?
Yeah, I think it's not just the total views. Now I think it's a live viewing.
Oh, because
yeah.
last night it said total views.
Total
which,
views?
if that is
Unless
how many people
you-
are watching it live, that's cool.
Right.
I couldn't tell though. And then the other thing is, when you go to your Mixcloud page,
Yeah.
when you're live, it doesn't say that you're live.
Okay.
So you have to share the link to some other platforms to get them to funnel
It's
into
still
Mixcloud.
it's still a little wishy-washy.
Yeah, it's got a lot of.
There's a
stuff
lot
to
of
do,
figuring
yeah.
out to do, but I'm glad that
Yeah.
they're figuring out a way for us to do this kind of stuff.
I
yeah.
want there's on the Mix Days page there's an interview with the guys who run Mixcloud.
Okay.
And they were talking about how they built that live platform in 15 days.
Yeah.
Before they knew that it was going to be needed, they had a
Right.
hackathon inside the company.
Right.
And somebody built that platform, and then now that this happened, they put it into beta and rolled it out.
What
So
I
we can
like
use
about
it.
the live streaming though is because I used to be a radio DJ. Now I'm not going to a radio station and playing. I could do my radio show from home. So
Right, yeah,
with
yeah.
without having a guy behind me saying your show should be like this.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Right. That's kind of how I think of this. Sort of as like a radio show. Like
Yeah.
it was me doing things, but now I have guests
Right,
on,
right.
have other DJs on, and it is more radio-esque
Yes.
than anything. So
Yes.
I kind of feel like that's maybe the direction that I'm going to be going in. So like my plan is Tuesday night is going to be Mixcloud.
Right.
Wednesday night is going to be podcast, and then Thursday night is going to be breaks, vinyl only.
I'm still trying to figure out what direction I'm going to go in with the streaming. I kind of want to let my fans and followers tell me where to go.
Yeah.
Until they find a way to integrate all of this.
Yeah.
Where I can just go on one thing and have everybody meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah,
see.
there's multi-stream services, restream and stuff like
I
that.
heard
but
about
yeah,
those
they
things.
cost
I'm
money,
looking into
though.
that, yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is definitely a cool outlet, and you don't have to be out till 4:00 in the morning
Right.
to do stuff. So
Right.
nice. So talk about radio shows, dude. So did you have radio shows in New York?
Yeah. I used to be on college radio in New York, which was at Stony Brook University, 90.1. I did a radio show with a couple of guys there, and my partner DJ Crossfader, who's my lifelong best friend. I could tell you about him all day. He's an incredible DJ. It's funny because I taught him how to DJ, and I consider him like a mentor
Right.
to me.
Oh, okay.
Because he toured with a lot of big name acts like Common and Mobb Deep and the Beat Nuts, and
Oh, shit.
he DJ'd with Mos Def and
The
Black
Beat
Star.
Nuts, dude. I have a Beat Nuts Stanton Warriors track where the Beat Nuts did the rap on it over
Right.
a breakbeat.
Oh,
I'll show
cool.
it to you
Yeah,
when we're
that's
done. I
pretty
played
cool.
it earlier before you got here.
Okay, yeah,
Shake It
yeah.
Up.
Okay.
You know that song? Have you ever
Sure,
heard that
by the
song? Shake It
Beatnuts.
Up? Yeah,
Yeah.
Shake It Up
Mhm.
Like It's Tropicana.
Yep,
Dude,
yep.
there's like an official remix with them. It's
Okay.
a breaks track. It's
Cool. Yeah, so I mean, I did that radio show with them.
So what
And,
year was this? When was this?
This is probably like 90, I want to say 94, 95 to like 98, 99.
And when you say it's college radio, like, is it a specific college?
Yeah, it was Stony
Okay.
Brook University in
Okay.
Long Island. Back in the 90s, there was a lot of very big underground college stations.
Okay.
You had, Stretch Armstrong was there, and Bobbito was the main one. If you're a hip hop person, you know who they are. It was the Awesome Two, Teddy Ted, and basically what we did on these radio shows was we brought the artists to the shows where we would interview them, we'd play their music, they would do freestyles, and we would DJ for them.
Okay.
And I can't even tell you how many artists I DJ'd for just on college radio.
Okay.
If you want to hear a good story, I'm sure everyone would like to hear this one, when we had Eminem back in the day.
Oh, shit.
Eminem came on the show back in the day, and it was funny because we didn't know he was a white guy. So
Nice.
we didn't know he was a white guy. So we had his records; they were all bootlegs and indie labels,
Like white labels.
white
stuff?
labels.
Okay,
This was all back in the early. This is way before Eminem came out. This is 2 or 3 years before anyone knew who he was.
Okay.
And
That's cool shit.
yeah, he came out and did freestyles and stuff like that. And it was funny when he showed up. He came with a couple of the D12 guys who I don't remember which ones they were because I didn't know who they were then. So, but they were all there, and they came out and. We had Mos Def on the show. We had Pharoah Monch on the show. Common, Shabam Sadiq, El Fudge. Like, these are all underground hip hop guys from the 90s.
Right.
And eventually, what we did was we would play their records first before any mainstream guys would play them.
Okay.
So, and that's how we got popular. We got popular playing not just the underground guys, but also the mainstream guys. Like, I was playing Biggie records before mainstream guys were playing them. For example, on our radio show, probably back in like '96, we had the Life After Death record a month or two before it came out, or even the studio versions on cassette before they were mastered, and we would play them on the radio shows in college.
That's cool.
Like he had the "Sky's the Limit" song, which was "Sky's the limit if you know," and 112 sang that hook.
Right.
We had the version that 112 wasn't on because they didn't record their hook yet.
Oh, shit.
That's how early we were getting the music.
Nice.
So it was Biggie singing "Sky's the Limit," and he sang the hook.
Damn.
So we were playing those versions on the radio before they were even finished.
Yeah.
So that's how early we were getting the records.
And so is that where you developed like your mic voice and all that stuff?
Well, no, because I wasn't on the mic. I was the DJ.
Okay,
We had two guys. It was HB and DL. They were the main mic guys. They would sit in the booth and do that.
Okay.
And then me and DJ Crossfader were the DJs in the other room looking through the window and playing the music.
Where did you develop your mic voice? Like, because, dude, I've heard you on the mic. You're good on the mic.
That came from the club scene in New York.
Okay.
Because in the club scene, you had to have a voice to get popular.
Right.
Everyone remembers back in the day the DJ Clues and the Funkmaster Flexes and all that stuff, and all those guys were great club DJs, but it was their voice that people were drawn to.
Right. Yeah. Funkmaster Flex, dude, you know his shit when he's talking.
Oh yeah, and Funkmaster Flex, a lot of people shit on him because they don't think he's that great of a DJ, but he was a big influence on me in the '90s. Flex would come out and be, like I said, remember the opening DJs, and then Flex would come on.
Okay.
So you're in the club, you see that line of guys carrying records, then you see Flex walk in, you know it was him. And before he even played a record, he'd have to get on the mic and say he was there, And that was intriguing to me.
Did he yell?
Of course he would yell.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if that was just like an album thing.
Before his records were even unpacked,
Okay.
he'd grab the mic and be like, "What's up, New York City? Flex is in the building," and everyone knew he was there. And now we were getting ready for the party.
Okay.
So you'd have to have that voice. And Kid Capri is to this day one of my idols, a great MC on the mic.
Right.
Kid Capri tells stories on the mic. He gets you amped with his voice, and because you didn't have the Serato things like you do now, where you could do echo and cue points and this and pitch time and doing all these things, you'd have to use your voice to get creative with your sets.
Gotcha.
So it was always the two turntables, the crossfader, and your voice.
Right.
I mean, even the name of your show.
Between two turntables,
Between
and
turntables and a mic,
dude.
that's what it's really all about.
Right.
If I take the computer away and you can't get on and rock the party, two turntables and a mic, then
ain't shit.
Yeah. You could take the computer away from me and I'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I saw it, man. I mean, I always knew. That's one reason why I wanted to have you on here to talk, because I always knew that you have been playing records forever.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to see that. So, yeah, man, one time, dude, if you can. So the conditions are no mainstream tracks.
Yeah.
If you want to do Facebook Live.
Okay.
If you want to do Mixcloud, you can play whatever.
Okay.
But if you want to do all underground, white label, whatever, indie label stuff, we'll do it on Facebook.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's hard because a lot of the hip hop stuff was mainstream.
Right.
I have a lot of underground hip hop from my college days, but I don't know if anyone would know the stuff.
Dude, you know what? It probably doesn't even matter, dude.
Yeah.
How many records you got?
I can't even tell you.
Like thousands?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, so you still have them.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
so you moved them from New York to Florida?
I have probably about 1,000 now, where I used to have like 4,000 or 5,000 before I moved here.
Okay.
And I used to share a collection with my partner Crossfader.
Right.
And we lived together at a whole bunch of different points in our lives, and where we shared studio and crib, and we had garage full of records.
Right.
Well, I'm not lying. It was from the floor to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Records, and yeah. But when I moved to Florida, I left a lot of them behind, but I took a lot of the necessities with me. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Record collecting is something that I never was into.
I actually want to get back into it.
Have you ever used Discogs? You ever seen it?
I don't. What is that?
It's a website.
Oh no! Oh, Discogs is a website. Yeah,
so it's a website, and it's just you can have you create an account, you have your own record collection digital stored on there. So you
digital
pick out,
record collection.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not your record songs, but like let's say you go through your record collection. Like let's say I flip through all those crates right there. I would add them to my collection on Discogs.
Oh, okay.
So you can keep track of all the records you have, but you don't have to keep them in a spreadsheet.
Right.
You keep them on the website, and then it tells you all the information about the record.
Right.
How much it's worth. If any are being sold, the label, the artist, the songs has the album cover,
That's
all that stuff on there, dude.
It's interesting.
Really, really
it's
cool.
Funny, when I first started doing Serato on the computer, I didn't know how I was going to get my music, because how do I get the vinyl onto the computer? Luckily, I was able to record with Serato and do that. But the one major way I got caught up with all the music fast was I got a copy of Jazzy Jeff's hard drive through DJ Crossfader, and I got all his, and it was all sectioned off already. So literally from downloading all the, and I'm sure a lot of DJs had that done.
That's exactly how I started.
You just copied
somebody else's hard drive.
Yeah.
So check out Discogs. So what I've been doing is put my record collection in there, and then I have I got about 1,000 records at my house right now. And I share a collection with Jose, with Joe. Joe, the majority of them are Joe's. He's got about 600. I got about.
If I don't mean to interrupt you, but the one thing that sucks about sharing a collection, and me and DJ Crossfader had this problem all the time, was when we DJ'd in 2 different spots.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yo, can I have that record for the night? Nah, man, I'm gonna play that tonight, and we'd fight over a record. It was just funny.
Luckily, we're not playing records out anymore, so we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of the records have been sitting for so long that they're old and dirty. So what I've been doing is, one of my broadcasts on Facebook is I'll just play a set, right, a vinyl set.
Okay.
My other broadcast is cleaning vinyl.
Cleaning vinyl.
So I set up all these old records that I have. I don't even know what they sound like.
I used to just have the wipe.
So I got up here. I got the felt brush and then the distilled water.
Yeah.
So I'll clean the record, put it on, and mix it in and play it, dude. And whatever it is, that's what.
I gotta admit, and a lot of people who know me know this about me. I did not maintain my stuff very well. I mean, when I used to do sets, there would be a pile of records behind me, and all over, with records on the floor. I'd be stepping on them and stuff like that. And I never cleaned them. I'd throw them right back in. But if a record ended up skipping in the club or something like that, I would just go buy a new one.
That's it. That's exactly go buy a new one. So the thing is now, though, all these records that we have, like if you want to buy a new one, some of them are $50.
Yo, yeah, especially the collectible stuff. Like I started buying some collectible stuff a few years ago. Like, I bought a brand new Michael Jackson Thriller.
Right.
I got like the Nas's first, Illmatic LP and stuff like that, and I bought them and I didn't ever open them. I'm just saving them.
So Discogs has a marketplace for records, just like eBay or something like that. So you got a bunch of sellers on there who have these huge vinyl collections, and they're just selling. So you can have your collection, and then you make like a want list.
Can I tell a good vinyl story?
Do it.
Cool. So this is my favorite story, and I tell this to everybody that wants to hear it. So we're back in like 2001, I'm going to say. Or it could be earlier than that. It was before Kanye West was a big celebrity. He was producing Jay-Z at the time.
Okay.
And I used to do some street team work with Rockefeller. So I had a partner in my DJ crew called the Dream Team, which was me, DJ Majesty, Crossfader, my best friend, and DJ Killer Touch. Killer Touch was very, very popular, still is today, on the industry, because he was the DJ for the Locks, for Styles P and Jadakiss, Rough Riders. So he was a Rough Riders DJ, so he knew everybody. So when we used to go to clubs, Killer Touch used to invite celebrities to come watch us. We didn't know these people, he did. So back in the day, it was, like I said, around 2001, the song H to the Izzo first came out, was by Jay-Z. And it was very, very rare. The only person playing it on the radio was Funkmaster Flex. They didn't even make bootlegs of it yet. So on a Friday night, I was destined to have this record. So I went up to Rockefeller, and I'm like, come on, guys, you got to give me 2 copies of this for tonight. I wasn't able to get it. I was so pissed. I'm like, I'm going to go to the club. Everyone's going to want to hear this record because Flex has been playing it all week on the radio. So what happened was Killer Touch came to me and said, yo, I'm going to get you the vinyl. Don't worry, when you're doing your set, I'll show up and bring you the vinyl.
Oh, shit, all right.
I didn't know how he was getting it. But he showed up to the club. It was probably about midnight, 12:30, and he was with Kanye West. Now, Kanye West produced H to the Izzo.
Okay.
That was his track. So he had the vinyl pressings of it.
Wow,
so Kanye West came to the club to bring me those 2 pressings. They were on blue vinyl, promotional vinyl. And next time I'm here, I'm going to show them to you.
Okay.
I actually did a Facebook Live a couple of months ago, but I showed them to everybody.
Right. You don't play them, though.
I play them.
Okay.
Yeah, I played them. They're not a real collector's
You can
item.
look them up on Discogs, though, dude. You'd be surprised.
But Kanye West, it was funny because I got on the mic and I was thanking Kanye for bringing the records and everybody. And we were like, Kanye West is in the house because industry people knew who he was. He was the guy who produced the track.
Okay, I gotcha, right.
But people in the crowd were looking at me like, the fuck is Kanye West? So, but that was a great story. That was a great time.
I got a Kanye
story.
West story.
Go ahead.
So, you ever heard of Bonnaroo? It's a music festival in Tennessee.
Okay.
So probably this was like 2008. So Bonnaroo's in Tennessee, right? It's a fucking huge camping music festival. You're out there for like 3 or 4 days, right?
Okay.
So Kanye West is one of the people that's playing.
Okay.
Pearl Jam.
What year was this around?
Like 2008.
Okay.
I think 2007, 2008.
He was famous by then.
Yeah, so that was when he was doing his glow in the dark tour, whatever it was, where he was doing all the lights. It was when he had those sunglasses with the bars on them. That's what it was. Okay.
Okay.
So the Bonnaroo main stage, dude, it holds 80,000 people. It can hold every person in the concert.
That's nice.
So the headliner for that night is Pearl Jam.
Okay.
Kanye
That's
West,
big time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. This is huge. Like Chris Rock was there as a comedian. Like this is huge.
Okay.
And so Pearl Jam. After Pearl Jam, Kanye West is doing his glow in the dark tour, but it doesn't start till like 1 or 2 in the morning, right?
Okay.
Because he needs, nighttime.
For a stage show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what happens is, Pearl Jam is playing. They run over, right? They probably stopped at like 1:30 in the morning. Kanye West is supposed to come on next, right? It takes his stage crew like 2.5 hours, 3 hours to set up.
Did people stay?
So what happened is everybody started leaving, and it's like 4 or 5 in the morning by the time he goes on. People are throwing bottles and shit up at the stage.
That's like some old Guns N' Roses.
And the sun comes up while his set's on.
And the glow stuff don't matter no more.
Yeah, it doesn't matter no more. And so everybody starts booing him and shit. And then afterwards, he puts out this press release that that was the most disrespected that he's ever been anywhere that he's performed.
Kanye is a special person.
You could say that. Yeah, he's definitely a special person.
Very special.
I'll never forget that, man. He was so offended by that. It was like a huge deal that he's never going to play Bonnaroo.
I remember when he first came out, and like I said, that thing happened with me with the club, and he brought the records. And then I noticed he started making records where he was rapping.
Yeah.
And I started getting records in the mail saying Kanye West, and I thought it was just him producing it. And I started listening to it, and I'm like, wait, is that him rapping?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know he rapped.
Yeah.
So that was early days when I couldn't even believe he was a rapper.
He's got some good bangers that people have turned into breaks remixes.
I have white labels. I have white labels at the house of Kanye of unreleased stuff that never came out. And I threw them in the back of my crates because they never got popular.
Right, okay. Yeah, dude, you should look them up on Discogs, man. Like, you never know, man. You might have some stuff that it could be people found out about it, and now it's desirable.
I have a lot of promotional stuff that never made it to radio that are pretty intriguing. Like, I was going through records showing wifey. I had a record with, I think it was TLC and Tupac. And, and this was back in 96, right before he died. And the record never came out, and no one ever heard it. And I still to this day don't know what the song is.
Wow.
Yeah, but I have the record.
Does it have a label on it, or is it
no? It's white label. It's a promotional.
Yeah. Damn, huh? That's interesting. There are white labels on Discogs. So you just you put in the artist, and or even if you don't have the song title, it'll say Tupac, TLC, and it'll tell you what the song is.
The white label stuff is fun because. In New York, if you weren't able to go to the record labels and get the actual vinyls, you would have to go to the record shops and get the bootlegs where they'd have 6 or 7 songs on one record.
Yep.
I remember one story when Biggie died. the Benjamins came out after that, the
Yep.
Benjamins remix, and it was the hottest song in New York City, but you couldn't find it on record nowhere, and they had it at Rock and Soul in Manhattan. They had it on bootleg.
Yeah.
They were literally pressing them up in the back as fast as you
Oh,
can
shit,
press them,
yeah.
while DJs were in line waiting for them.
Wow.
And there was a line out the store, bro. You wouldn't believe it. All the way from inside the store, all the way outside the store, people were waiting for copies of the Benjamins.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Same thing with the breaks, dude. Sometimes you'll see like this these people you never heard of and a label you never heard of, but it has one of these songs that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
everybody knows and like you can't get the original.
No, it's
You
hard,
know?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like, I didn't really know that much about the white label, so I started talking to the guy that did my turntables, and yeah, I guess so people were just like ripping tracks off and pressing their own version of it and then selling that shit.
That too, but not only that, you used to have to fight other DJs to get the vinyl. Because you have to get to the stores before
Right,
they do.
yeah.
And there
Yeah.
used to be fist fights outside of record stores because a DJ would grab the record at the same time off the shelf and be like, no, that was mine, I had it first, and they'd fight over it.
Right.
You know, it used to be bad. It used to
Yeah.
be, you used to have to be on your game and used to have to go to the city. Well, in New York, where I was from, you have to get on the train, have an empty backpack, and go out in the city
Yeah.
and go find your vinyl. You'd have to
Yeah.
go look for it. And sometimes they have the little listening stations in the record
Yep,
shops,
yep.
and you'd have to listen to your joints. And if you like it, you put it in your
Yeah.
bag, you buy it, and you go home.
That's how I knew about buying
Mm-hmm.
vinyl, and it was a shame. Like when I got into DJing, it only lasted a couple more years before they
Yeah.
stopped really pressing vinyl for the music I was listening to.
I
But
would
that was
sit in
it.
a record store for 4 or 5
That's
hours
it,
at a
dude.
time. Yeah.
There'd be like 10 turntables lined up. You
I know it
just dig
sucks
through
because you'd have
stuff.
a line of DJs waiting to get on the little
Yeah,
listening
man.
station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was fun, man. There's just something about it. Yeah, it was cool.
I wish we can go back to them days. What I knew now, if I knew back then, you know, I'd probably be sitting on a jet plane with somebody famous right now.
Right,
Yeah.
true that. So yeah, dude, we can wrap it up, man. We've been going
Yeah.
for over an hour,
Sure,
and
yep.
man, I really appreciate it. So
I
you're definitely
appreciate
going to
being
come
here.
back, dude, and we'll do this again. We'll kind of get it maybe an agenda.
I love
about
being
some
here.
stuff.
Shout out to everybody that watched.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to me, and hopefully anything I said was fun for you to listen to.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm your host, P. Smalls. I'll have this up on YouTube probably by next week, and then you guys can share all that kind of stuff. And but it'll be available on Facebook.
Can I
right
shout out
too.
some of my social
Yeah,
medias?
shout out.
Listen,
shout
if
out.
you're
Where can
if
we
you don't
find
follow me, because it's hard. Like P. Smalls was saying, we're trying to figure out what networks to do our live streams from. So if Facebook keeps cutting us off, you got to follow us on different platforms.
Yeah.
So follow me on Mixcloud. Follow me on Instagram. You never know where I might do a live stream. So it's going to be Super DJ Jay Dee. It's 4 words. Super. It's right on the screen right there.
Yep.
Whoop,
Yep,
boom, right there.
Find them.
So yeah, follow me on all my social media platforms, because I'll just put an announcement on Facebook saying I might do a live stream here, and then you go and listen to it.
Yeah, and your stuff is in the event page too.
Awesome,
like
thank you.
where you can find you and stuff like
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. We definitely appreciate the support. Thank you for tuning in, dude. It was
Thank
very
you.
good to see
My
you
pleasure.
again.
Thank you for having me, guys.
And we will see you guys next. Actually, maybe tomorrow.
Salute.
If not, next week.